Hi, this is David from Xceleration, the Excel learning channel. In this special video, I'm going to show you Xcelerator, the Excel add-in that I created. Xcelerator adds a new menu to your Excel ribbon next to the Home tab. And you'll find different sections and different menus. The first one is dedicated to formatting your data, like dates, numbers, text, table. The second will make your spreadsheet more BD-like, with the ability to apply some BD colors, the logo, and some BD charts. You can perform some data analysis, or you can use some new formulas specific to Xcelerator, and you can work with files. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how it works, covering most of the features of Xcelerator, starting by a very common command: copying and pasting values. In my selection here, I currently have formulas, but I want to replace my formulas with hard-coded values. Selecting my data, copy and paste values. And now I have hard-coded values instead of formulas. In the next example, in my range, I have multiple fonts, font sizes, and format. Some cells are bold, some cells are underlined, so I want to standardize the format. Again, with the current selection, standardize format, and now everything looks much better. You'll notice that I have hidden columns, hidden rows, and so if I wanted to unhide everything all at once, only one click will suffice, thanks to Xcelerator. Unhide all rows and columns. And now everything is unhidden. Now let's work with dates, with a few commands available in Xcelerator. The first two are especially useful if you work in accounting. Convert dates to the first day of the month or to the last day of the month. Selecting my dates, convert to first day of the month. And now it's the first for each date. Same thing for the last day of the month, dates, convert to last day of the month, and everything now is showing as the last day of the month. In 2020, you can see that February was a leap year. Next, probably one that's very useful if you are a BD employee, the ability to convert a date to the fiscal year and quarter based on the BD calendar, starting on October 1st. Selecting my dates, convert to FYQ. And now, instead of the dates, I have the fiscal year and quarters based on the date values. Still working on dates, you can insert the day of the week next to your dates, add day of the week next to cell range, or you can highlight specific days of the week. Let's say that you want to highlight Saturdays and Sundays. With the selection, dates, highlight specific days of the week. We're going to check Saturday and Sunday, click on OK. 6 cells were found matching our research, Saturdays and Sundays, and now they are highlighted. The last command allows you to remove the time from a date timestamp. So this is an example here where we have the date and the time, and usually we only care about the date, not the time, so we need to remove the time from the cell value. Let's select our data, dates, remove time from timestamp, and now only the dates are left. Now we're going to work with numbers and how we can use Xcelerator to format numbers or to change the values. In our case, we have values from 1 to probably 100 millions. No, it's very hard to read because the format is not user-friendly. That's exactly what we're going to change. Selecting the data, going to numbers, and the first 3 options are dedicated to changing the format to make numbers easier to read. And the third option allows us to show values in thousands or millions. So clicking on it now, you have a nice format. And the last value is indeed 100 million, and it's much easier to read now. The second option allows you to round values, actually changing the values. So in our list, it looks like we have numbers with up to 5 decimals. And let's see, we want to keep only 2 decimals. So selecting my data, going to numbers, round values, changing actual values. How many decimals do we want? We want 2. As for the rounding type, I'm going to keep it as normal. So the closest. Clicking on OK. Conversion completed. And now you see I am left with only 2 decimals. The values actually changed. Let's say that in our cells we have numbers and text. We want to keep the numbers only. Selecting my cells, numbers, keep digits only, remove characters. And now only the values in digits remain. We can also convert numbers to their ordinal. So instead of reading as 1, 2, and 3, on, we want to read them as first, second, third. As always, let's select our data, numbers, convert to ordinal. And now it says first, second, third, as we wanted. I'm skipping some of the commands because later in the video, we're going to go over an example using different commands from different menus. So moving on to formatting text. And we can delete extra spaces thanks to Xcelerator. In our cells here, we have leading spaces, we have extra spaces between words, and we have spaces at the end. So usually it prevents us from being successful when matching values, like VLOOKUP, for instance. So let's fix our text. Selecting my cells, text, delete leading and extra spaces. And now we're good. We can also replace special characters with spaces, because special characters are not really user-friendly. Text, replace special characters with spaces. Now it looks better. And let's say that now we want to keep the text only. We want to get rid of all the digits. Select my data, text, keep text only. We are left with the text. We can concatenate values or text thanks to Xcelerator. In our case, we have what looks like a phone number, but broken out in 3 parts. I want to concatenate the 3 values to get a full phone number here with a separator of my choice. Let's select the data, go to text, column to text, concatenation. What is the separator that I want to use? A dash. Clicking on OK. And now the values have been concatenated. We can work with hyperlinks by creating them or removing them. So currently my URLs are not hyperlinks. I want to make them hyperlinks. Selecting my URLs, going to text, convert URL to hyperlink. And I can click to go to google.com or to bd.com. Or I want to remove the hyperlinks because I do not want people to go online. Text, remove hyperlink. The next option is nice because, again, it allows you to standardize the format on your spreadsheet. Text, list of fonts found on tab. And it looks like on my current tab, 2 fonts were found, Arial and Calibri. And that's not really good. I want to have only 1 font for consistency. So let's check Arial and select cells in specified font. And now I know that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells with that specific font. So I'm going to go to the Home tab. I'm going to change the cells to Calibri and refresh the list. And now I only have 1 font on my tab. Much better. Last but not least, for text, you can work with names, flipping the format from first name space last name to last name, comma, space first name. So Xcelerator, text, and then the last option, and then you'll see the format has changed, or vice versa, using the same command. Next, we're going to work with tables. So let's say this is our data, and it looks really nice. It's a pivot table look, if you will, and it's very easy to read. For instance, we know that June belongs to Q2 and to product 1 visually. But if you want to work with your data, it's not really user-friendly because the cells are missing the values. So we want to fill them in. So let's select our columns with missing values, and let's go to Table, Fill Empty Cells. And now all of the cells are filled in with the right values. Let's say this is actually our starting point and we want to do the opposite. We want to give a table a pivot table look. Let's select our columns, tables, clear dupes immediately below, and our table looks like a pivot table, and it's very easy to read. The next few options are dedicated to formatting pivot tables, whether it's switching to the classic view, showing or hiding subtotals, but I'm going to show you the last command because it is a very cool feature allowing you to pretty much unpivot pivoted data. So this is our example, and we have data showing different fields and values: sales rep, product, month, and values. However, the month field is spread horizontally. So it's a cross-tab table. Instead, I want to change the format completely to only show 4 columns: sales reps, product, month, value, which is getting the raw data out of a pivot table pretty much. I'm going to select my table, transform summarized table into rows of data. How many columns do I have before the values? The values start, in my case, in the 3rd column. I have 2 columns before, sales rep and product. So I need to change my input to 2 and click on OK. And now I have my raw data with the 4 columns that I wanted: sales rep, product. The category could be renamed month, and then my value. Next, we're gonna make our spreadsheet more BD-like. First of all, we can insert the logo, whether it's with the BD letters or without. And we can insert a BD chart. Selecting the data here and going to insert BD chart, and then you'll see different templates to choose from: dots, balloons, radar, performance, or pie chart. I'm going to pick balloons, insert, and now we have a nice chart using the BD logo as the marker. You can also apply the BD colors, selecting your cells, going to colors. That's the BD orange, and it's the BD blue. Now we're going to cover the most interesting part of Xcelerator, starting with the formula menu. So let's go over an example. We have sales by month, and now we want to know the percentage of the total for each month. Let's select our values, go to formula, and pick the second option, percentage proportion. And now we have new formulas telling us that for the month of January, the sales amounts represent about 11% of the yearly total. We can also do a month over month using a variation. So going to formula, percentage variation, and then now we have a formula helper. The starting value would be the value for January. The ending value would be the value for February. So we know the variation is minus 52%. And then we can enter the formula wherever we want on the spreadsheet. Here, for example, clicking on OK, and now we have a formula for liberation. We can use it all the way down, and there is also an option that I skipped under numbers to highlight variations with arrows to get a better format. That's what we're going to use. So my values are formatted as percentages. So I'm going to pick the last option, value as percentage, clicking on OK. And now we have a much better format, highlighting increases or decreases with the color code. For the next option under formula, we have custom function. And it is extremely powerful. Those are functions that are not native to Excel, but with Xcelerator, you can use them. For example, getting the fiscal year and quarter as a formula. So let's try it. Since we have dates here, in column E, I'm going to type equals FYQ, opening parentheses, selecting my date, closing parentheses, pressing enter. And now we have the BD fiscal year and quarter. Even more powerful, Xcelerator allows you to sum, count, or average values by color, something you would never be able to do in Excel without Xcelerator. Let's try it out. Equals sum color, opening parentheses, selecting my values as an absolute reference, comma, and then selecting a cell that contains the color that we want to use here in G3. Closing parentheses, pressing enter, and we get the total for the numbers colored in green. Same thing for the count, it would be count color, and same thing, selecting our data, comma, then the cell containing the color, or the average. So it would be clearly the sum divided by the count, but in case we did not have the first two columns here, it would be AVG color, selecting our values, selecting a color, and then we would get the averages, one for each color. Next, we're going to work with an example. We have a list of accounts by sales territory, and ultimately we want to analyze our data, check for possible mistakes. We want to fix the mistakes, and then we want to generate one file for each territory. In other words, for the first file, it would be the Hartford territory records only, with the current selection, of course, including the headers. But first, let's analyze our data, and let's check for potential errors. Going to select my data, going to data. Let's check first for data density. So making sure that I do not have missing values. So it looks like I have 21 records, and for all of the records, all of the fields are not missing values. Density is 100%. So I'm good to go. No missing values. That's good news. 21 records. I could export the analysis if I wanted to. Next, we're going to check the field length. So the territory is a text field, so the length may vary. So the minimum found was 13, maximum was 27. That's fine. For the states, we are using abbreviations, so they should always be 2 characters long. So the min and max should be the same, 2, and that's the case. So we're good. However, for the zip code, there is a problem because the zip code should be 5-digit long. So the max is 5, that's fine, but the min is 4. And that probably means that we are dropping leading zeros. And you can see that's the case here. So we're going to have to fix our data. Next, we want to check for unique values. Do we have duplication of data? It looks like we have 5 different territories, 20 different account numbers. And that's a problem, because remember, we had 21 records, but only 20 unique account numbers. So we may have some duplicates. Also, visually, I can notice that I have leading zeros for my account numbers, and I'm not a big fan of using leading zeros for account numbers. So we're going to have to fix that as well. So first, we noticed that there was potential duplication. So using what should be my unique identifier, the account numbers, I'm going to select my data, going to data, list of duplicates, and yes, we have one account number showing up more than once. We can color, and now we know that we have 2 records for the same account, different territory, but pretty much same account. And look, it's located in Hartford, Connecticut, so it probably should belong to the Hartford territory. So this record here should be removed. Like I said, I want to remove the leading zeros, so selecting my account numbers, going to Xcelerator, numbers, convert text value to actual value. No more leading zeros. We need to fix the zip codes to have leading zeros. Selecting my zip codes, numbers, add leading zeros. The length for zip code should be 5. Clicking on OK. Everything is fixed. One last thing before we export the data. I do not like the fact that for the name, the street, the city, everything is uppercase. Uppercase is fine for the state, but not for the 3 fields before, name, street, and city. So we're going to fix that too. Selecting our data, and in the text you'll find 3 options. Make text all uppercase, so that's pretty much how it is currently formatted. Second option is make text all lowercase, so everything is in lowercase now. But I like the third option better. For each word, the first letter will be uppercase and the rest will be lowercase. And now it looks much better. And finally, we want to create files, one for each territory. So let's go to data, data slicer. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to slice the data. The first step is to select the data with the headers. There you go, clicking on OK. Now step 2 is available. We want to use the territory because we want 1 file per territory. You actually have 2 options. You could create tabs on your existing worksheet, one for each territory. That's the first option here. Or the second option is to create new files. So before I trigger the command, this is where I want to save my files. So currently the folder is empty. Of course, as you click on export to new files, it's going to ask us where we want to save the new files. So I'm going to select my folder here, click on OK, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're done. Let's check our folder. 5 seconds, pretty much 1 second per file. Let's check. We're going to check, let's say, Philadelphia East to make sure only the records for Philadelphia East are showing on the file. And yes, indeed, we only see the records for Philadelphia East. All right, so now we know how to check for duplicates. So let's check our data here. Do we have any duplicates? Yes, we do. John and Mary are duplicated values. So how do we get a list of unique values? Data, list of unique values. What is the source? That's my list here. Where do I want to insert my list of unique values? Here. And now I have a list of unique values sorted alphabetically. Here I have a table showing not only names, but employee IDs and title. And I want to use my list here and insert next to my names the titles and the employee ID. So there is a way in Xcelerator to do a lookup and to insert data. So let's select our data first. Data, we're going to do lookup and merge. And same thing, like where is the data that we want to include? That will be our data here with the headers. What's the matching field? That would be the name. That's the field in common. Going to step 3. So now we have 2 available fields that we can include and add to our list of unique values, the employee ID or the title. I want the title first and then the employee ID. I want to include the headers, so for the 2 fields that I'm adding, we'll use the labels, title and employee ID. And then if a value is not found, I want to display a specific text. Let's say missing. Clicking on OK. And now we have the titles and the employee IDs next to my list of unique values. And you'll notice that for Mary was not found in my list. So let's compare the 2 lists, the list here and the list here. Data, matchup analysis. We're going to select the values for the first list, clicking on OK. They're showing up here now. Same thing for my second list. And now let's click on Analyze. And we have a list of matches and then mismatches with the reverse. So the records that are in list A but not in list B, and vice versa. The records that are in list B but not in list A. And of course, you can export the analysis to a new spreadsheet showing you your 2 original lists, your matches and your mismatches. So now we know that Mary indeed is not in the data table and that Mark is in the data table but not in the list. We can also play with sheets with Xcelerator. You can list all the tabs in the current workbook. So all the tabs named like as a list. You can hide and unhide tabs. So let's hide the format tab. Hide. So now it's gone. The interesting thing is that if you try to unhide it the regular way, you won't be able to. The only way is to do it through Visual Basic or through Xcelerator. Hide, unhide, format, unhide, and now it's back. You can copy a tab multiple times. So let's say you're working with months, January through December. You created your tab for January. You want to replicate it 11 more times. You can use the command here to say, hey, copy the current tab 11 more times. Just like we did earlier, you can save each tab as an individual workbook. You can select the top cell on each tab. That would be cell A1. You can freeze the top row on all tabs. You can apply auto filters on the first row of all tabs. And then 2 cool features. You can sort the tabs alphabetically. I'm going to click on it and look at more like the tabs. And now everything is sorted alphabetically. Or you can sort tabs by color. And now you can see it's blue, then green, then yellow, then red. On the miscellaneous menu, you'll find different comments. You can copy paste a selection to PowerPoint. You can make a snapshot as an image based on your selection. You can create a calendar. So let's do that. So we are in June 2020. Clicking on OK. And now you have a calendar for the month and year that you selected, with the ability, of course, to type in the cells. In case you work with US states or countries, you have a couple options like available, state full names to abbreviations. So let's enter California. We're going to enter Nevada and Florida. And let's say we want the abbreviations. So miscellaneous, and then state full names to abbreviations. And now it's showing as CA, NV, and FL. Or if you have countries abbreviation and you don't know what they stand for and you want to convert to the full country name, so let's test with 3 country code, selecting them, miscellaneous, country abbreviation to full names, and now you know that they are Italy, France, and Spain. Let's say you want to list all the files within a folder. You can go to folder, list all files in the folder. It's going to ask you to select a folder. So let's go to the folder that we used to create new files. That would be here. Clicking on OK. And now we can see our 5 newly created files. They are all Excel files, all very small in size, less than a megabyte, and with the last modified date. You also have more like comments dedicated to tools used at BD, whether it's Salesforce or ClickView. But that's pretty much Xcelerator in a nutshell. So plenty of different commands that you can use to format your data, to analyze your data, to perform calculations based on your data. And many things that would either take a long time to do through Excel with more like formulas and pivot tables, or things you would simply not be able to do. And now they are doable thanks to Xcelerator. So that's it for today. If you're interested in getting Xcelerator, just shoot me an email. It is david.denni@bd.com. If you have Xcelerator and you have a problem, or if you have a suggestion, you can simply go to Xcelerator, and under the info tab, you can use the first option to contact me. It will trigger a new Outlook message with my email address already populated, with the subject already pre-populated. You can also visit my Excel YouTube channel, where you can see tutorials if you want to learn more about Excel. And yep, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I will hear from you. Bye.